Talk about the stage, your reaction when you hear your name and you won the award and all that.
Oh, honey, I honestly like, here's the thing. Winning like best DVD as a director is an incredible feeling, but I got to experience a little bit more than that because I don't know if you watched this, but I starred in every scene. So this body of work, it's like all me. You know what I mean? Like it's the stars and me together made something really special, but the fact that I am in every scene and the DVD won, I think I didn't think that was gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to make something like truly special that brought everyone together, brought stars together that hadn't been on DVDs before, get to put something out for Groovy, who gave me like an amazing start to my career, give, something back to the community by inspiring other girls. And it launched me to a level I was completely not expecting. Like when it came out, it just went viral everywhere. And then all the nominations, happened. And, like I was up against, people that I have idolized for the better part of a decade. So to win with this
Now,
and even to have them on here, you know what I mean, is I'm gonna sleep with this every night. Like I'm so happy with this. I don't know. I felt like I needed someone to pinch me or something when the name was called. I know I like kind of like froze up when I went to the microphone because like I had a speech prepared, but like all the words went out of my brain when I
right.
went up there. Because I was just so grateful to be up there with all those people that I've looked up to, and to now be there with them is like wow. um I am having trouble saying things, but just know it meant more to me than anything else I've ever achieved in my life.
But you seem surprised that you suddenly went up to this other level when you won the award. I mean, you didn't feel you did enough to get there up to that point, or you didn't seem what?
I think that people who sometimes don't win awards do deserve to win them. So by putting all of my, I guess, validation on winning it, I learned from other stars that I look up to that were not just in this movie, but I'm friends with. Like the nomination is the win. And if you walk home with the trophy, that doesn't necessarily mean that like other people did not deserve to win too. So I
Right,
didn't want to come in there with that attitude of like if I lose, that I'm not
right,
as good as I would be if I won.
right.
I think exactly what was supposed to happen for me happened. It's opened the doors for more studio work this year, for other mainstream companies, and then also like maybe a lot of other things that I want to talk about, but I feel like I shouldn't talk about it yet because the snowball has been pushed down the hill and it's picking
Okay,
up. Yeah, but until everything is like locked in with like dates and
right. Oh, of
the
course.
script and all that, like I'm just gonna be hush. But just know that like it took me by surprise, I guess. Like I I'm someone who is like, all right, for the next 5 to 7 years, I'm gonna grind as hard as I can and get to this level that I'm currently on. And I didn't think that, I don't want to say that like everybody's timeline is different, you know what I mean? I just didn't want to get frustrated if it didn't happen as fast as I wanted it to. I think that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Because I think some people get caught up on this whole like, oh, I'm not famous in 1 year. I quit, right? And I didn't want to be like that. I was like, I know it
Right.
takes time. That's what Natalie Mars said to me, in between, making out at the teas last year. We were sitting next to each other and like making out a lot. And I've always, looked up to her and admired her work ethic and everything she's done. So she was like, Blake, I'm gonna say this to you. And this is when I like lost last year, at the teas. She like held my hand. She was like, it may take you a little bit longer to get to where you want to go, but I promise you, you're gonna get exactly where
Right.
you want to be. And even she
Mm,
saw that in me, and it just, like I said, this whole year has been a dream come true. This DVD, this award show. I know I'm rambling, but that's because it just means so much to me. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. I'm struggling to shut up about it.
Let's go back a step. How does this whole project come up? How do you get into directing it and all of that? What's that
My
process?
agent, I'm not with Next Level anymore, but my agent at the time um, was like, "You should try directing," and I was like, "Ooh, okay. What makes you say that?" And I think it's because I come from a creative background. I am a musician. I've made albums. You know, I've
Mm,
written novels before. I'm also a writer.
right,
And I think because I was very vocal about that with my with my agency, and there's just not that much work out there for trans performers. And
right,
I think he saw that I was frustrated with shooting is, you know, is I mean, even the top stars don't shoot anywhere near as much as like the top cis stars because there's
right,
just so many studios that shoot it. There's like over
right.
80 something studios versus like 7 that shoot our stuff. So I think he felt that I might have been like wanting to do more, see more, or see myself do something to, I don't know, I don't want to say the word to keep myself busy, but like I'm
Mm,
one of those workaholic people, and I'd already shot for every major studio like multiple times, and I think he could tell that I wanted to keep pushing the boundary. And then he brought it up to me as like, hey, you
right,
can do this if you really, you know, if you really want to try it. And the only reason it happened is because I reached out to my old manager, who was Mark Kramer, who is a agent now for Cox Models. But before that, 2 years ago, he retired from being Axel Braun's right hand man, Brabon's producer of
right,
every parody that won all of those awards, from
right,
Pirates of the Caribbean to Spider Man to Justice League to all of it, right? And I reached out to him and I was like, do you think this is something, you know, you'd be interested in doing? Because he gave me like my into the industry. And it's so funny how I met him. I got in through him because my old music lawyer had a hobby of taking pictures of porn stars and was taking pictures of his girls. So
right,
as I was, you know, crossing out of the music industry into porn, I asked my lawyer, I was like, do you know anyone that I can contact? And I was very early in transition, like didn't pass at all. So
right,
I, you know, had to wait the 8 months, 9, 10 months before HRT worked its magic.
right,
And then when I got to that point where I was, you know, looking the way they wanted me to, I was able to get my first scene. I'd already done a scene for Buddy Wood, it was a femme out scene when I had like, you know, really short hair
right,
and wasn't passing. And that's why they put that on the site, but they never even put it out. Like it wasn't until the tease in 2024, and I got picked up by like, you know, I think I walked up. My first major scene was for Ricky Greenwood, Transensual, and it was because one of the stars couldn't make it that day. Like the person that was cast couldn't make it that day, and I got called in as a backup, and it was through Mark, and he was like, "Listen, I don't want to put pressure on you, but this is the biggest director in this industry, and this is kind of a freak thing where somebody didn't show up and they're going to give you a chance. So if you
right,
fuck this up, there's nothing I can do for you," kind of
right,
thing. And I was like, but you know what's funny? He actually told me that after the fact. I didn't know. I think if he had told me that going in, it would have messed me
right,
up because he
right,
waited until I got done. So that scene, then I guess Groovy then remembered that I had filmed that femme out scene as my mainstream studio scenes. Because the next scene I did was for Jim Powers with Izzy Wild and Roman Todd for my GenderX initiations. And then I did Evil Angel with Aiden Starr and Autumn
right,
Rain, and that got nominated for XBiz my first year. And then that's how I got my name. And then going into the award season last year, um, obviously, like I had, you know, my breasts done, I did a BBL and stuff, and I started getting a lot of work. And then once I had done the studio gauntlet and was just kind of coasting and, you know, getting scenes as they came in, that's when the whole conversation with the agent started. And I reached out to Mark, who then reached out to Aiden Starr. And then we reached out to Andre Madness, who was my fucking agent at the time, to write the script. And I didn't even know he wrote scripts. That's the thing, is like Mark used to work with the guy like for 10,
mm,
15 years, you know, back way back when, and he would write all these scripts for Adam and Eve. And he's like, this guy can write scripts. So he wrote the script. I started calling people. I know I wanted Foxy in it really badly, and I wanted everyone that is in the movie. I wanted in it. Some people like Aiden reached out to Jade, and I think Mark got in touch with Aubrey. No, I was with Aubrey's agency at the time. I think it was either me or Mark that talked to Aubrey, and then I reached out to Haven Rose because I'd shot with her and I thought she was a really interesting and talented rising star, and I wanted it to be a rising star, in the feature as well, not just all people that I looked up to and fit the role. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't like I was just hiring stars; like they had to fit what I was writing,
Right,
and I didn't write the dialogue. I came up with the concept and
right,
the scenes and the all that stuff and the directing part of it. But Andre's script was totally off his own brain. I didn't really give him much like, here's how I want you to write the dialogue and here's the
right,
relationship I want you to, yeah, like that was all him. So it took a village, and we filmed the whole thing in 5 days. Like we did 5 days of filming, I think 5 or 6 different locations. And we rented a Dodge Challenger, like the red one, and we had all of this like crazy like location, like just things that like you wouldn't find in a typical Gonzo movie. And that's what we
right.
wanted. We wanted a 90s Gonzo feature. And we wanted it to be as hardcore as we could get away with. And that's what we
Right.
did.
Are there specific camera shots and stuff you mentioned? You mentioned you want to do a 90s feel, but was that because you saw something from the 90s that you liked, or was that something?
I thought that a lot of modern porn um was moving away from like nostalgia, like Breakfast Club, Pulp Fiction. Those were things that were influencing that, like from the titles to the way it's like set up. You know what I mean?
Right,
With the intro, it feels like a freaking, it feels like a film that he would have done. You know what I mean? And that was the idea with the vignette as well. Um, and then also like Breakfast Club is a classic, classic. I don't know if it's late 80s or early 90s, but it
right,
doesn't matter. The vibe's kind of similar between the late 80s and early 90s. So that was the whole idea. Was I wanted to call back to that era of time that we all missed before the world looks like it fucking does right now.
right,
And like I was inspired by like, also like as far as the porn stuff goes, like Adult Time, Evil Angel, these people I've worked for, and but they taught me everything, and Aiden was the director of photography. If without her, none of it would have got done. I didn't, really know anything about directing other than doing music videos because that's what I'd done before, right? Music videos are very different than porn. So all I knew is I had a concept. I knew what I wanted to achieve. I knew who I wanted in it, and the rest had to be like, all right, well, now it's happening, Blake. So nut up or shut up. Are you
mm,
actually going to be able to do 5 scenes in a week with a gangbang at the end, double anal, and all 5 guys? That, wow. I mean, I trained obviously like leading up to this, like an athlete. I trained like
mm,
an athlete leading up to it, and I couldn't believe I got through all of it. Honestly, I thought I was gonna get I thought I was gonna get an injury or something back then. Like I really was. I was like, this is when I go to the hospital. 5 scenes in a week, double anal, all these guys. Like this is it. That's what happens. But no, it didn't, because sometimes things are quite literally just meant to be, and that is just weirdly how the universe works. I've got nothing else to say other than that about like questioning. Oh, who, what, where, when, why, how, why is this happening to me? Because it was meant to. And now it's leading me to plan and have an even bigger year this year than last year. That's, you think I'm stopping? I'm just starting. Yeah.
you mentioned specific people you wanted to be in the project. Did you know at that point, like, okay, this type of scene, this person has to do it, and that person?
Yeah, I did. And it comes from knowing these people and watching their work and knowing what they like. I knew that the scene that was inspired by Black Drawbridge with Jade and Pierce was perfect because, like forget all the typical like, oh, age, look, height, all that, right? Also comes down to attitude. You know what I mean? And if the part is written for someone who's like a queen bee, provocative, erotic, that's Jade in a bottle, right? That is her. And as far as like the principal scene with Foxy, right? She is motherly. She is voluptuous. She is sweet and commanding, but not like somebody like Aubrey, who's the disciplinarian, right? Who's the Miss Kate. You don't want to piss that girl off. And like, Aubrey's done a lot of dominatrix stuff, a lot of dominating stuff. And she was doing a lot of that this past year, like for kink and stuff. And I was like, ooh, like, wouldn't it be hot to bring in some of those like things that like you would see on King, like the ball gag and the nipple clamps and all this, the collar, the chain as they're railing me on the desk. Like I was like, I took inspiration from all of these people that I shoot for, that I look up to, and Groovy putting it out was just that full circle moment. Like I can't believe that they did that. I mean, obviously we made a really great product, right? That's why Groovy put it out, but to have it all come together like that, like from where I was, living out of a rental car last year, like it's just wild. And I'm in a penthouse apartment in Marina Del Rey. Like I have a real Disney story, but it's porn. And it's inspiring. It really has inspired me to push it so much further this year. Not just with doing my own project, hopefully again, not even hopefully, but but also like doing those features for other studios and pushing my performance. Like there's a scene coming out right now with Devil's Film. It's like me, Victoria Grant, Sade Rue, or we're like the trans train one, I did for Jim, and like I did double, on that one. Victoria, pretty much like just killed it, that whole scene. Like just made me want to perform that much better. And that was one of my favorite scenes I did last year. And I'm excited to see these coming out now. It's like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh, there's one from Ricky coming out too. And it's like those are coming out, going to New York, like traveling and shooting for places I've never been to before, hopefully going to Europe. Like I'm very excited, and the future is feeling very bright right now. No, the future is bright. Manifest it.
The people you chose in the scenes, I'm sure you're expecting great things from all of them. Did any of them like blow your mind? Like that was like way over the top. Like you expected good, but that was just like off the charts.
I would say out of all the scenes that blew my mind, it was probably the one with Jaden Pierce, because I didn't know what to expect as far as like how Aiden wanted to film it, based on Black Raw, like that whole like in the dark, neon, spotlight on us. And it's like so, as Jade would say, erotic. And I mean, she's an incredible performer. I already knew that, but like all of these people pushed me to a different level. I'd already collabed with Foxy and Aubrey before this, and I was in Aubrey's Dollhouse Dungeon by Evil last year. Hopefully that one goes up for an award this year too. And that was my favorite boy girl scene I've ever shot. I mean, me and Sage in that just absolutely killed it. Like so cute and small and petite in this like little pink outfit, and just getting railed, for like 30 minutes straight. It was just very, very, very well shot. And kind of I mean, Aiden, does, works with her, she brought that same energy here. And I I wasn't expecting like the stacks to work as well as they did, but like Jade fucking Pierce into me, and then me fucking Jade as Pierce is fucking me into her, like doggy. It was wild. So like I'm like hitting it like she's like this, and I'm like bent over doggy, like she's missionary, and then he's behind me. And it's like it was like Tetris. And I had done stuff like that for Jim Powers, but like it was much more difficult in the dark, A, and B, like we did multiple stacks. It wasn't just like one moment. It was like, yeah. So the whole thing, I would say that scene surprised me the most. But they're all so talented performers. Like every one of those people that was in that movie is a star, is nominated. And, even though Haven's like a newer girl, she did like 30 something scenes last year. And she was also in Transpirella, which also won. So like every one of those girls deserves, what we got. Every one of them.
Now, how difficult was Blake directing Blake?
Unbelievably hard. because I was on camera most of the time. So I would tell Aiden what I wanted, and then I would just have to go do it. And she would have to,
Like you may not have put in your time, but like, you put your shit, you've done your due diligence. So,
I'm realizing that now. I am right
uh,
up there with them. Yeah, and but that's when AEBN released their stats, and there was like
right,
all the top stars, and I was sitting at number 7. I was like, holy shit!
right,
I'm there. I did it. I am
right.
number 7 in the world right now,
Right.
and that is
So,
fucking crazy.
day one on set, how nervous are you to direct?
Unbelievably nervous. I did. I mean, I like I told you, I had done at that point in my career maybe like 50 scenes, like 40 something scenes total. And
Yeah,
that was over the course of a year and a half, which is good, right? Especially for a trans performer. There's not really a lot of work out there for us.
right,
Um, Unless you're basically pretty much a permanent top. Like if you're a permanent top and you can do it well and you
right,
look good, like there's an okay amount of work out there for you, but it's still not the same as like, these cis stars. So when I had, the experience I had coming in directing, um, I was basically going off of the music video directing experience I had, coming from the music industry, and then also um, the 40 something scenes I had shot. And obviously, Aiden and Mark handheld me the whole way through it. We were all very close friends. That's the thing is, like, I was super close with Aiden and Mark, the two closest people to me in the industry that got me into all of this shit.
right,
Foxy, best friend or whatever, but those are the industry best,
right.
closest to me as possible. And today got me through all of the nervous, energy, all of the anxiety that came with the first day. And guess what? The first day of filming was on my birthday.
There you go.
Foxy and I finished that scene and we went out to sushi. She bought me sushi for my birthday afterwards. And it's really cute. We like FaceTime like Leilani Lee and we're like, oh my God, it went so well. Like, it was a really cute moment. I'll never forget that. They came out with like their little brownie cake, like happy birthday. You know what I mean? At the very end, it was really cute.
Were the nerves gone after the first day?
No, no. I think they were less there in the scene with Aubrey, but I fucked up. I like overdid like cleaning out on set that for that scene and just was like feeling really sick and like weak and just not myself. And I remember I stuffed my face with In and Out, which I ordered for everyone at the end of it.
Right,
It was a really long day. The classroom scene, because Mark and his background. I don't know if you
right,
watched the movie, but the dialogue, the way that it's cut together, there's so much more attention to detail than like a lot of like I guess the I'm not, I guess there's just like a lot more attention to detail than like I guess I was expecting from the dialogue side of things because I've always been
right,
so focused on sex, but now
right,
it's like okay, focus on like dialogue and cutting, and editing everything in a way that flows like an actual movie. And the acting had to be up to point. Mark literally made some of these girls like say the same line
right,
1,000 times to the
right,
point where they're ready to blow their head off and walk off set. But you know what? We got it done and we won an award, and that's why.
right,
And that's
right,
why I was also nominated for Best Acting Performance because I was in a feature in all of the scenes. And, I may
right.
not have won, but I still think I did a great job acting in it. And yeah, and like I told you, like it was a community team effort. And that was led by Mark and Aiden and me.
You go to set the second day. Is there anything specific you learned the first day that either you changed the way you set something up or you did something?
Yeah. It was the way the dialogue was cut. We are doing master shots that were like trying to get through the whole thing perfectly, which you're just not going to be able to do. You know, you're the way that typically when we're filming dialogue in these features is you have a master shot that sets up wide and you record the whole thing and you got to basically get through all the dialogue without fucking up, and that's really hard to do, right? And then they would cut between close up, all right, close up Foxy, close up of Blake, and that's how we would do
Right,
it. And but the master shot, we had a couple of master shots, had to for the most part go through the whole scene without really stopping, right? And sometimes there was 3, 4 pages of dialogue in these master shots before the scene would cut to somebody leaving the room or something,
Right.
and or cut to a close up. So that's kind of why I was thinking to myself at the time, like, wow, like this is big, because the first day took longer somehow than the second day. And in the first day, it was just boxing me and dialogue in a little principal's office, which is a location that I don't think has ever been used before in porn. That literally there was like Disney shit all in that office that we had to take out, and
Right.
no one's filmed there. Actually, I'm positive no one's filmed it. It was one of the locations that we filmed at a location no one's ever filmed at before. That was for scene 2, Office Secrets. That scene. Um, and I've got like a different look. My hair is much blonder. I took out my extensions. And I really need like to do like a hair day. Like it's been a while since I did not I put it to you this way. Do not blow out your hair all the damn time. It'll damage it. That's part of the reason why I took out the extensions, because I was like, all right, my hair is to my tits. That's long enough, and I'm gonna damage it if I keep doing this. So I'm in needing of like a conditioning treatment. So don't look at it; it's fried from all the hair dryers being on set
Right.
so much, all these curling irons and shit. But
When it comes time to direct or do a sex scene, do you want the scene shot the way you like to watch porn, or do you want the
I
scene
don't watch
shot for
porn.
what you think looks good?
I don't watch porn like that. I watch porn when I'm on set, and I watch porn when I'm like working on it. But you know what? That is a bald-faced lie. I used to watch porn all the fucking time. All the time. But when you
Right.
get into it and you're a model and you're also directing and doing all these things, you tend to stop paying attention. You know what I mean? So I guess I guess, yeah, I guess the way like I was really inspired by the way like Adult Time like cut their dialogue, frame their shots, like cinematic like feel to it,
Right.
before the sex would start. And obviously the way that Evil Angel shoots their sex is like, I mean, that is the best like Gonzo site. Like they are, what they are for a reason. And that's Aiden's background. That was the second scene I ever did. I mean, I lived with, Lena Moon, Aubrey Kate is
Right.
evil, like these people all around me influencing that. So I think it was a combination of studios that I work for and will continue to get like that. Like every time I'm on set for these people, whether it's Evil, Adult Time, whoever it is, I absorb it like a sponge. I'm like, you guys are like super talented. I look up to you. Like you inspire me. I
Right.
I just I'm not someone who's looking to be a full-time director right now. Obviously I'm very young, just started. I could see myself maybe doing a feature a year. Um, maybe one next year, but and definitely one this year. But like I'm not looking to pump out box cover after box cover like every
Right.
2, 3 months. Like I want to keep shooting for the people I've shot for, do one big project myself, and then also focus on my OnlyFans, because that's what's funding all of it, is how well I'm doing on my private sites. It's not it's not coming from a sugar daddy or anything like
Right.
that. I actually put a lot of effort into my OF and stuff. And I think that's the hardest part about being a porn star, is it's required to be an OnlyFans star. So
Right.
it's like almost like you're just doing all this extra work, you know what I mean, to win the award, but it's not gonna pay for your life at all,
Right.
at all. And that's the reality of all sides of the industry right now. It's moved away from DVDs and online to people having their own personal sites, and these studios are just kind of ways for us to advertise that. And that's I don't think I know anyone who lives off of studio porn, not a single person. It's just impossible, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of the state of the world. OnlyFans, Fansly, Loyal Fans, all these things that came out, it reminds me a lot of Spotify. When Spotify and Apple Music and all these things came out, the whole industry shifted to online digital streaming, and it's the
Mhm.
same thing here. It's shifted to online individual platform. that funds all of our lives. Like all these porn stars, like that's how we survive. It's off our private site. And you know, that's I think that's why, you know, I sometimes look at OnlyFans girls and I go, you guys got it easy. Like you don't have
Right.
to, like we're doing what you do, but then we do so much more on top of
Right.
it. It's like, you guys got it easy. But I am very grateful for all of it. I'm someone who doesn't feel like they work a day in their damn life. Everything I do, I love to do. I love making stupid social media videos for my OF. I love directing, you know, award-winning features. I love starring on other people's sets. Everything that I do in this industry doesn't feel like work to me. This is what I love to wake up and do.
Slightly off subject, but do you feel there's a difference between a content creator and an adult film star?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? These OF girls could never, ever do what we do, and they know it. And you know, I hate to say it like that. It's true. Like you are held to a standard that almost no one can hit when you're a porn star. You have to look incredible. You have to fuck incredible. You have to always be in a positive mood. You have to always get along with other people. You have to always be improving yourself and looking slightly different or better to keep getting work, because if they've shot you a bunch of times and you look the same, then what's the point, right? Because the people that are subscribing to these, you know, sites, right, they're there because there is a mix of girls and new ones constantly coming in. They're not there because you're on it, right?
Right.
They may find you there and they may go sub to your OF because of it, but they're not subbed to these sites for one person. They're there for the mix. They're there for the
Right.
studio. They're there for
Right.
you know, the diversity. It
Very
is.
quickly back to the movie. You finished day 5. We say it's a wrap on the shoot. Do you have a sense of relief? Or you
Oh my God. I cried. I mean, I just remember crawling into bed, my boyfriend holding me, and I'm like, I did it. It's over. Now I just gotta wait for the edit. And then Sadie, who used to be one of Kink's top editors, did it all. Did the whole edit. And it was incredible. From the safer work to the I had my personal editor do the XMA AVN nominated thing, because the whole thing was 90s. So I was like, what about a grindhouse 90s
right,
horror, like, you know, promo trailer, now that it's like, you know, been nominated and it's been out. And I might do one more thing for the TEA Awards. And then I have like XRCO as well, hopefully,
right,
and some other stuff coming up. So I'm not going to stop working on this until the first day of filming
right,
the new project, and then it'll be like, all right, now we can let that thing marinate, do its thing. You know, it really
right,
takes time. You know, when you think about it like this, like when a band puts out a record, they'll tour on that project for 3 to 5 years
right,
sometimes. And I kind of, you know, I don't want to say I have the same mindset for porn, but like, you know, when you do a big feature like this, it is a cycle. It's not like you put it out, all right, on to the
right,
next. Like it does its thing for a while. And sometimes it takes a year or two before it becomes cemented in the Hall of
right.
Porn of Fame or whatever. But that already happened. So very, 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 very grateful
Good.
and happy. I
But
still feel
the
like it's a dream. I still feel like it's a dream. I do.
but the edit process, do you sit in on that, or you literally just hand it off to your editor and say, here's the notes, here's the script?
She sent me edit like roughs, and I had super meticulous. I mean, if you looked at my emails, I would had so many text messages back from Mark, like, stop being so fucking picky. You know what I mean? There was one thing that didn't make it into the feature that made me so upset, and it's because we were rushing trying to beat that, you know, September 25th deadline. And the big reason why we were doing that is like I knew that I had done so much studio work that year that if I put this out on top of all the work I'd done from other people, it was going to take me where I wanted to go. And I was going to be able to have a decent place, like live comfortably and stop stressing. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm making the investment, and I did it. And it truly, truly, truly was like, I'm just so grateful. Sorry, I need food. I'm rambling. um,
You're
yeah.
looking at the edits and stuff. Do you get a sense at that point, like, hey, like this is really, really good. This is like,
I started freaking out, honestly, when I saw like way that she did like the cuts of like the footage of like outside some of the locations, and it like fades in, and some of it was like, you know, location around the city, like we just took shit and filmed it, and then and it really did feel like I was making a movie. And then sometimes I would forget that there was even sex in it, because there was so much like dialogue and cutting and all these little things, and I was nitpicking all the dialogue because I also do mainstream acting. Haven't landed anything, but I've done a lot of auditions, and I was like really trying to make it like look good. And you know, Mark and Aiden had to, you know, they were the ones facilitating that back and forth communication. They had to kind of be like, all right, Blake, you need to chill, because like we've got, you know, a deadline here, and we know what looks good, and we know what is going to win awards. We win awards all the time. You know, this is your first time, so let us kind of, you know, lead you here. And that was it for a lot of the process. Like I had a lot of ambition, a lot of drive, and I did a lot of work, but a lot of it was other people helping me the whole damn time. Like it really was it. Like it was a community effort. All of us, all of us. I'm trying to get the award for everyone. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that, but I really would like everyone to have it, because this was not by all means the Blake show. I may have starred in every scene and I may have directed it, but every one of those girls in those scenes was highlighted to be just as big of a character as I ever was in that feature. And that's how I wanted it to be. I wanted it to feel like a community thing. And that's why I gave that silly little speech on stage where I forgot how to breathe and almost passed out. I was like, oh wait, how do you breathe again? It's like, yeah, you don't have to think about it. Yeah.
They hand you the finished edit. How much of your original concept and idea is in the finished edit?
85% of it, 90% of it. Some of the dialogue and the way that like, you know, characters talk to each other is kind of like Andre's influence of that quippy 90s stuff that he was writing, but that's why we hired him. Like in my head, I didn't really know exactly how I wanted the characters' personalities to be. I just knew I wanted, you know, this type of vibe, this location here. And I wrote the whole outline. I was like, here's what happens in the thing. And then he wrote the dialogue and filled in the gaps and stuff. And I, you know, haven't edited these lines. I mean, I went through the whole thing with Mark. Mark and I sat down, went through every single line, sent back edits, new draft, every single line, sent back edit, new draft. Usually 3 or 4 drafts before we got what we wanted per scene. And Andre was literally writing it out like, because there's 5 scenes, right? Scene 1, boom. Scene 2, boom. Scene 3, boom. And it was that back and forth until he locked in on the script. It was, I would say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say about 90% for sure of my original ideas made it in there. There was one thing that didn't happen. I was really bummed. There's a scene where, like, in scene 3, where Aubrey Kate comes in and catches Sage making fun of her with the dildo. One of these takes, this dude drops this, and on cue, it sticks to the ground like perfectly, like, and goes like that. And I was like, gosh, if we'd kept that in there, I'd have been so happy. But we couldn't. So we ran out of time to like find it. There was like so much footage to go through.
You have the finished edit. At some point, you must sit down by yourself and watch it. What are your thoughts, like for yourself, when you see the finished movie?
Ah. Mm. I'm legit so proud of this. I when I saw this, I was holding it, couldn't believe it was me. And that's more of a, I guess maybe more of like a trans thing too. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
growing up in rural Virginia, I was the only trans kid in the entire county. You know what I mean? You just don't think that these type of things are possible for you.
right.
And then when they happen, and that's I'm gonna give a shout out to Ariel, Tamira, Tori Houston, and Jay Venus. When I met those people, they showed me what trans excellence really looks like. I'm sorry, they did. I was 5 months into transition, and I was running with a very bad crowd. And I was out at one of these WeHo bars, and they came in, you know, I guess for karaoke. I think that's why we were all there. And I just was immediately like, oh my God, that's that's a trans woman. You know what I mean? And I had been running with, you know, just I was on track for a very bad place very quickly. I'm just going to put it to you that way. And I was one of those trans girls that didn't have her family. It was very estranged from my mom at the time. I was having a lot of issues with her. My brother had, was barely around. My father had cut me off completely. Like I had no one. And they really showed me how to become successful by just being who they are. And I owe them everything because of that. Because if I hadn't met them at that time, I don't know where I would be. And that's why having her in here was such a full circle moment for me. And that was almost 2 years after I met them. I mean, I looked a lot different back then.
You open it, you put the DVD in, the movie starts. At that point, are you amazed, shocked, happy, surprised? Because this is your whole vision and everything finished and
Feels
done.
like watching a fantasy. I don't know if you've had those dreams that you can tell this are fantastical and you're like, oh, this isn't real. That's how it feels to watch that DVD or to hold this. Or when I was on stage, absolutely, 100% didn't feel real. But like I told you, I'm just very, very grateful. I'm so grateful to Stephen Kirby, Chris Penn, Mike, Radius, all those guys, all those guys at Groovy. Just they've really, they've really done so much for me. And I funny thing is I actually had a scene the day of the award show. So I like shot for for Radius and had my face on from earlier. I got called onto set and I just remember watching, my arms are behind me and I'm getting railed like really
Yeah.
hard. So much so that spit is coming out of my mouth. And I'm like, do not get that on your face. Do not get that. Like the whole time I'm like, and I somehow got through it. Like my hair was a little messed up, but not really. And then I went, and I was able to meet Foxy with another makeup artist right before, with 10 minutes of retouching things up, I was on the red carpet. So it's like, I don't know, work hard, play hard, be rewarded.
You put out the movie, it gets good feedback. The nominations come and you start getting a lot of nominations. Does that surprise you? Does that?
It did. I thought it was too early in my career for any of this stuff. It really did. I got very, 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 very blessed. I'm a very blessed person. I had to suffer for that. A lot of bad stuff has happened to me, but now a lot of good things are happening, and maybe I see it as karma. I paid my dues, and I always pay it forward. Like everything I do is I try to give back to others, and anyone who knows me will hopefully tell you the same. Hope so. But
No.
I could live a much more lavish lifestyle than I live. Could have a way bigger apartment. I could have a sports car. I could be doing all these things, but instead I kind of just live a very like modest, humble life. And like, yeah, I have some designer things here and there, and I do live in a nice area, on the penthouse floor, or whatever. But like most of the money that I spend goes towards this career, just making stuff like, whether it's a
Yeah.
new collab, features,
Yeah.
whatever it is to keep pushing me to another level. Because like I said,
Yeah.
this is just the beginning. Like I want to go a lot
Yeah.
farther. Um, Even though I'm so grateful for it. Putting that DVD in there, like I said, I felt like a fantasy, and it felt like a fantasy because of where I came from. And I know a lot of other girls have similar stories, and that's why I felt so surrounded by family, and that's what I said on stage that night. To go from the only, I'm going to show you something. So 3 years ago, when I was leaving the music, I don't want to say leaving the music industry. I was stepping away and only doing porn because I'd done music for 10 years. I was wanting to do something else, and I wanted to succeed at this industry. But when I won this award at the Hollywood Independent Music Awards for Rock Pop Song of the Year, and I was the only trans person in the entire room. And the TE Awards is a big show, okay? But this award show was so sold out, you couldn't even stand. Every single table was so filled, they couldn't even give one to an artist. The
Yeah.
upstairs was so filled that no one could, everyone had to stand. There were
Right.
so many red carpets around this place. And I just remember, talking to music industry executives and other people, like when they would find out I was trans or I would say it, they would make a disgusted face at me and walk away. And this is right around the time that Trump was about to get elected. So it makes sense with all the propaganda that was going on.
Right.
And it just broke me into a million pieces. Like even being on that stage and winning this and giving that speech, I was just like, what the fuck am I doing here? And then funny enough, 2 years later, same stage in the industry that I left that one for, here I am next to people that inspired me to keep going and to fight and to become who I, am now and to do this shit. We're all there together and I'm surrounded by, probably 1,000 trans people there versus the only one in the room. Like it really was, I couldn't have asked for a better full circle moment from God himself. I hope that wasn't a bit too much, but I wanted to be real with you. I plan on getting much hotter and much happier and doing much more cool shit.
Good. The award show ends, you go home. Are you still buzzing the next day, or like does this come down? Or like
No, it's not gonna go down. Are you kidding me? Like this right here? How can this go down? Like I it might. No. No. This is one of these things that I'm gonna look at for the rest of my life and it's gonna make me smile. That's the truth. I don't think there's ever gonna be like a moment where like, oh, it doesn't matter to me anymore. No. This is gonna be here long after I'm gone. People can be jerking off to it. I'm dead and gone. And that's awesome. That's so fucking cool.
and now that you're an award-winning director and performer, does that change the way you approach work?
Yeah, it does. And I know this because I lost at the other award shows multiple times. Being nominated is the win, and that is all anyone can ever hope for. But when you win, there is a certain change in the way that, people talk to you, approach you. And there's also a certain standard that you have to hold yourself to. Now you are, here's the thing, even if you're not, even if you're just a nominee, you're a leader. Everyone is going to look at you and to how to, I don't want to say how to perform, but they look up to you. You're a role model. And that just goes up another level when you win. So it's like getting a nomination is the win. You are a role model, people look up to you, but then when you take home, the trophy, that just means it's even more focused, even more intense. I know, and I think I've heard like other stars say the same thing too. And I really, 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 really want people that may watch this interview that may want to do something like I did or get to the level if these stars are on and now I'm on myself. Be you. I didn't get here because I was trying to emulate anyone. I was the best me I could possibly be. And if you try to be like somebody else and change your hair color or your outfits or your vibe to be like what you think people want you to be, then you're going to look like everybody else that they're already hiring that can do the job better than you. So at that point, you take away everything that makes you you and you special. So that's always the advice I give people. You are who you are for a reason. And if you don't lean into that and let people really see that and let that shine, then you're never going to be where you want to be. Because only you can be the best you, not someone else. And you're not going to be better at being that person than they are being themselves either. So be you.
Do you feel you have a responsibility to help the next generation now?
Yeah, and that's weird to say because I feel like I'm still new, but now my third year, I'm not new no more. I am I'm at that point where I'm like kind of like and my career's in full swing. These girls look up to me. They come up to me and take pictures with me. They talk to me like I should have all this advice for them. And while I do, I also at the same time feel like, what the fuck I'm doing? You know what I mean? Like I want to give you good advice, but at the same time, like I'm still getting advice from people like Foxy that have been in it for a lot longer than I have, 10,
Right.
15, 20 years. So I'll bring people like that too. They have just so much wisdom, and it's so crazy. Like they just, it takes a real special person to like not only be that hot and successful, but to be able to put up with what we put up with for as long as they have and maintain their sanity. So like I just the stress of this industry, I think, is what I meant when I said that. Because it is stressful. Award shows and spending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on dresses and hairstylists and nails and makeup and wearing heels for 8 hours a day so your toes split open. You know what I mean? Like these are things that people just don't even think about. All they see is a pretty girl holding an award and they go, oh, her life must be great. She just got fucked and they handed her this. No, I worked harder for this than I worked harder for any college degree, any fucking regional manager job I had in the real world, any tour I ever did. This is a job. It's a career. And that's when the new girls come in and like I've helped them out last year and this year probably will do more of that. What I try to do is I'm not stingy about who I film with. If you have a good vibe and you can do the job and you look good, I'll film with you. Because some of the most money I've ever made has been off of like the least known people. And then I've filmed with really big stars, and it's like their fans aren't going to come over to your site. Their fans are
Right.
going to watch whoever they film with and jerk off to it, and that's that, right? They're not going to go, oh, who was that other person? They're fans of them. They're not fans of you,
Right.
right? So I love to give creators a choice no matter where they're at in the industry, as long as you have a tight brand and you look like you know what you're doing and you can do the job. So the advice I give to new girls, always is like being not elitist about who I work with. A, B, please be you. Don't look at me and be like, I'm gonna be just like you, Blake. I'm gonna get a tattoo on my chest and I'm gonna be like bubbly and sweet. Like that is my personality. I don't have to try to do those things because it's who I am. I'm not
Right.
funny like Ariel. Ariel's hilarious. She's got a great sense of humor. I try to be and I just sound stupid. Right. But if I
Right.
tried to emulate her, I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's the advice I give the new girls is like, be you, don't be elitist, be kind, and just don't. The other thing is like just don't get involved in any drama. Like it's porn, it's modeling, it's girls. Like you know what I mean. Put all three together. Like
Right.
just put your head down and work. If people say
Right.
something, just keep working because at the end of the day, like there's so much bigger things going on in this world to focus on. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're going to stress out over something, let's stress out over Iran. You know what I mean? Let's stress out over something like that, not, that type of, small scale thing. So those are really
Right.
the three things. Stay in your own lane, focus on you, don't get distracted by other people's drama. Be yourself and don't be elitist. Work with, people that can do the job and look good. Who cares how many fucking followers you have? Who cares?
You get a call tomorrow, they want you to direct. Do you keep the formula that just worked for you? Would you try and do something completely different? Would you do what?
I gotta call them out to direct. I would do whatever it takes to bring home them an award. That's what I would do. I would do whatever it takes to bring home an award. And even if I don't win, as long as I put that same level of effort in that I put to get this, then I know I did a good job.
Would it be a 90s type of thing? Would you do a different vibe? Is there a vibe you want to
I'll
do?
give you a hint on something I'm working on right now. Um, no, it wouldn't be. 90s vibe is great. It's amazing. There are other things I'm inspired by, you know, not just periods of film, but maybe I want to incorporate some of the music industry shit I've been through.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like there's a story there,
I'm
especially
sure.
if you want about Hollywood and being trans and the way that the way the LA
Right.
entertainment interscape works, hellscape works, right?
Right.
There's a story there, and it's very interesting how in entertainment sex is power. And it's very interesting that we are an industry that has taken all of the power out of sex, because sex is the works and no one cares about a pair of tits or a nice ass anymore because they see it every day.
Right.
Whereas everyone else, we basically are
Right.
cast off to the side like we're these, you know, untouchables. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
as far as like, besides people like obviously like the fans supporting online and whatnot, but I mean like just the way the normal society acts about porn, all the laws they're passing, keeping us in the dark. Ooh, that's bad, and judgment. Ooh, what are your kids gonna think? All that crap, right? It's like the ones that are saying these things, right, are always, 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 always the same people that are watching it at 3 a.m. with a butt plug in their ass. And it's
Right.
just like I want to call that out. A. B. I think a really, I'm still very young, so I can't really play a mom or anything like that yet. But a young girl who's in her mid to late, probably mid 20s is probably who I'll play.
Right.
That comes to LA trying to make it in music industry and, or something like that. And just, we make fun of Harvey Weinstein and shit like that. I'm not saying that any of this is going to happen. I just think that incorporating something to do with like where I came
Right.
from and kind of shining a light in a non-serious way on the way the entertainment
Right.
industry is, I think would kind of it's kind of like porn thumbing its nose back at them. Oh, you want to thumb your nose at us? We're going to thumb it right back at you.
Right.
And I think that's just an idea. I mean, the project's happening for sure,
Right.
and then obviously I have a lot of other projects I want to, hopefully work with and star in for other studios. But my personal thing is I do not want to lock myself down to, I only do 90s throwback
Right.
porn. Like, no, like that was great. It was amazing. It was a moment. It's there forever. But, who knows? Maybe it could be horror themed. Maybe it could be
Right.
fucking, music themed, right? I'm not gonna box myself in. I just know that I'm very passionate and motivated and excited. And I feel like really the sky is the limit this year. Not just for me, but for really, really everyone. There's just so many exciting things happening in Bourne, and it's just everyone is so hot. Everyone is doing so good. And I'm just see what a positive Polly I am. It's honestly sickening. But I've always been like this, and maybe it's how I get through shit. But
Right.
I really do believe this is everyone's year.
Your
Yeah.
social media handles are?
For my OnlyFans, Sarah, Sara, Blake, Lovely at OnlyFans.com. Twitter or X, sorry, we don't like Elon here, _ Blake Lovely _ And for Instagram, it's going to be Blake Lovely _ And you can find me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page, which is, you laugh, but I get like 12, 13 million views a month on Facebook because nobody posts on it. So like when I post these
Yeah.
reels and stuff, Facebook just pushes it out because they're trying to get people on the platform. But I have a pretty big following there too. It's just Blake Lovely. So you can find me everywhere. I'm on Pornhub as well, TS Blake Lovely, X videos, all that stuff. But I run my Pornhub and I run those other ones I just mentioned. I do not run those other sites. You can find my Manny vids still, and my clips for sale just went up as well under Blake Lovely. And that's all of my socials. And I had a wonderful time talking with you. Thank you so much for having me, Dominic.
Anything you want to say to all of your fans?
Thank you. We did this together, fans, you and me, and also all the lovely people that were involved. I would be nothing without you. I am nothing without you. And every day you give me a reason to wake up and smile. And I hope that I can keep making real hot ass shit for you guys because, honey, we're just getting started.